Duane Vickery has amazing recall of his lifetime in Jim County.
And we planted those sweet potatoes. Big, nice, beautiful sweet potatoes. That point over there, that was the 7 acres that we grew watermelons on.
It was long ago when the Vickery family bloodline arrived in Jim County, in a very old Western way.
Yeah, because Grandpa came in on the railroad car, so they had the railroad tracks in, but they came from Raft River, and they left my dad with the wagon and a team of horses, and his saddle horse and the dog. And I think it was 3 or 4 days it took him to come from there to Emmett, and he was 14 years old.
Grandpa Vickery and family first located off County Line Road. When Duane's father left the nest, he moved across the highway on Little Rock Road, then to the bench up Sandy Lane, to what is now home to Terry from the Dairy, a.k.a. Terry Jones.
When we moved up there was no electricity, had wells, and somebody had turned loose the rabbits when they left, and there was rabbits all over that place, underneath every building. And
a recent drive through the farm brought out the story of the magpie bounty and the new bike.
Creek down there, and that's where the magpie business was coming from.
Which was a pretty lucrative business for you.
Yes, and if you look at it as a child's point of view, I really had something going.
Magpies were considered a nuisance at the time, and an egg or a head brought a 50-cent bounty. Duane started collecting heads, saving his money for a new bike he dreamed about for months. Then one day a light come on.
Along the way when I was trying, I decided that I was kind of cutting my own throat when I killed those magpies, because all the way along the creek was all those nests, and I gathered the eggs out of the nest in the chicken coop, and I did not kill the chickens, so why am I killing the magpies?
With money in hand, Duane and his mom headed to the store to get the bike of his dreams.
And I was ready to take that thing out the door, and Mom said, well, just a minute, no, let's look at this other bike. And this other bike, I thought, well, what's she mean? And that just, why should I look at any other bike? There's no reason to. And she was pointing out a girl's bike, and we took home a girl's bike, because my sisters could ride that, and we could all ride it, because we only had one bike now. And I never did ride that bike.
And horses. His lifelong bond with horses began at age 6 as a water boy, errand boy.
I had to be the water boy, because I was the oldest grandson on either side, and I'd fill those water jugs up and haul them out in the field to the uncles when they were pitching in hay, or when they were bringing in the shocks for grain. I was an errand boy. If I did something, I usually did it on a horse.
At age 18, Duane went to work at the sawmill and continued to grow his farm ranch operations. Duane married Margaret Spencer in 1954. It was love at first sight at a ball game.
Well, I met my first wife at a ball game, and after that ball game, that's the way it was. We did everything together, and we went square dancing, and Margaret loved to dance, and we did a lot of dancing.
Married life began here, in what was a house some 60 years ago. Duane and Margaret Vickery eventually settled here at 3810 West Idaho Boulevard. The couple raised 4 boys on the farm: Stephen, Michael, Kirk, and Tim. Family has developed home sites on parts of the original property, and 19 acres were sold for the development of Shadow Butte Elementary School, but most of the property is still growing crops. Working at the mill, milking cows, growing crops, raising a family, and serving his church became the norm for Duane and his family.
The time when it was the tightest was when I was working, and I was helping with the dairy, and I was bishop.
Duane says his best crop was onion seed, which paid off the ranch. He was in and out of the dairy barn with his last herd growing to 100 cows before he sold out and looked to retirement. 14 years ago, Duane and wife Emily were married and have enjoyed traveling and fishing and serving their church.
I think the best time is when we went on our mission. Went to the Mormon Handcart Historical Site in Wyoming, and he was the repairman for everything, and I made quilts, and it was just, we lived in our motor home and for 6 months. And then they asked us to stay for another year, so we did, and we lived the winter in Wyoming.
Where Duane started 2 new hobbies, quilting and building miniature Mormon handcarts. After a lifetime of farm life, Duane offers a little advice to the next generation farmer.
Go to school. They can give it to you and you'll lose it in certain time if you don't know how, aren't educated as to how to do it.
Duane and Emily Vickery, in 2017, Gems of Jim County.